about the panels that have been placed at the dump or the transfer station. And Barry, would you believe that that's a 10-year project?
You mean from the time we started talking
Yes.
about it? Yes. Actually, more than that, 2002.
Wow.
That was the first time that the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, who at that point was Peter Hughes, sat our little commission down and said, we want you to investigate renewable energy. We'd like to we'd like to get some results from one. We don't want to build it. We don't want to pay for it. We don't want to maintain it, but we'd like to get the energy from it. And we kind of looked at him and said, really? Well, he was smarter than we were. And over a 10 or 12 year period, we've gotten to the point where we have built, and it is not just installed, but it's operating and generating electricity on our, I'd like to call it the landfill rather than the dump. I mean,
Landfill, okay.
give it a little more sophistication.
Okay. And have there been any obstacles? I'm sure there have been some obstacles along the way. Anything that strikes you as being particular?
Well, if you say that this is the end result, and we started in 2002, excuse me, the first thing we looked at and evaluated was wind power. At that point, that was the thing everybody was talking about that we should do, and we did a very thorough and evaluation. Came to the point where we were ready, and matter of fact, went to town meeting with a plan to build 2 wind turbines. But town meeting didn't like that idea, and we rejected it, and therefore we went back to the drawing board, and then very shortly thereafter, CVEG, the Cape and Vineyard Electric Co-op, which is kind of an offshoot of Cape Light Compact, was looking for towns that were interested in putting major size solar installations in. And I did this real quick. I said, yeah, we are. And we got accepted in phase 1 of that project. And it's...
Then you just had to find a place to do it, is that right?
Well, we had a pretty good idea that the landfill would be a good place. We had a few misgivings about can we do those things without doing damage to the cap, which is over the dump, because that was probably the biggest obstacle, the biggest concern. But the engineering firm and the fact that this is not the first time that this was done determined that we would not, with the way the installation was made, we would not damage the cap, and we've proved at this point that we did not. All of the panels are placed on concrete pilasters, I guess you'd call them. Probably they're 10 or 12 feet long, and there's one panel on each one. And would you believe that there are 15,000 solar panels on our landfill?
I don't see that well, but from just going to that part of the dump, all you see is a few.
Yeah, we cover 15 acres of land with 15,000 solar panels, each generating just a little bit of electricity, but overall, this project is part of a larger project that was, again, a CVEC project to install good size or large size solar projects all over the Cape. The first wave, the first 8 installations, and we were one of those first 8, because I raised my hand quick, and everybody agreed with me, the town agreed, whatever. This is the largest single installation on the Cape.
Really?
It generates 4 megawatts of electricity. The energy from that will supply more than is needed by all our municipal accounts, not the residents, but all the municipal accounts, the highway department, all those kind of things.
Does that include the schools?
No, it does not, but it would cover the schools, and the arrangements are being made for contract with the school to get to also take part in that project. But when we originally started it, we thought we would have all the schools, and that it matches the total needs, the total municipal needs. If you took all the electricity, which is about 5 million kilowatt hours a year that this thing generates, you could supply 1,000 homes everything they need every year.
Wow.
That's a pretty good size. And again, it's the largest of the first 8 that were phase 1 of this project, and we're kind of proud to be part of it. And the obstacles really were not the only obstacles that I think that are most frustrating to me is the length of time that it took to get things going, to get the contract going, and after the contract was let, getting people to go to work, and then we had to. What we do is we build, in effect, we build the generator. We put up all these solar panels, and then we have to put wires from them, and the wires all come to a point where you have to tie into the grid, or you have to have some place that you now get to a load of electric load, like your house.
Now, wasn't that was N-Star a problem?
Well, N-Star didn't do anything too quickly, but they did after a while. They cooperated. They did everything that was necessary. Their needs and their requirements and their ability to meet schedules was a little bit behind what we would have hoped. But we got to the point where we had to work with N-Star because we tie into the N-Star system. And if you know the area around our landfill, that the little bit south of that on the I get my directions wrong, but there's a couple of large transmission lines that cross that road, and it was an excellent place to tie in, so that the cost of interconnection, which is something that the town or the whole project has to assume as part of the cost of building it, was not that great compared to some other locations. Did not have to go a long distance. The facilities that N-Star had to build and we had to pay for them, were not that great. And the project finally moved along this year. We really hoped. We're probably a couple years behind. A lot of it is I'm going to say bureaucratic, with with us and the electric company and the regulators and making sure everything is in order. Because this is really something new. I mean, it isn't really new. There's been a lot of solar installations, a lot of places, but for us to do it and we're not a utility. We're an aggregated group of towns, and we're working with the co-op, which is a different organization, but that's all related to it. It worked. It's come together. Huh?
And now, what about sharing of the results? What do they call it? I guess you can sell some of the the capacity of the electric system.
Yes. Yeah, because we don't have the schools as part of our base load, we're going to be generating and are generating more energy than is needed just to serve the town accounts. So that energy is available for sale. It's being a lot of it is going to be taken up by. I think we're making arrangements, finalizing arrangements with the school system, Monomoy school system, and then after that, there's an arrangement that involves us only as a supplier, but other people are making arrangements to sell and to buy any excess energy that we have. Any time during the year, during the day even, there's always a time when there's more energy being generated than there's a need. So therefore, the grid has to pick that up, and somebody gets to buy it. Some other town that doesn't have the ability to put in as large an installation as we have. And ours really was ideal. It is far enough away. There's nobody complaining about noise, nobody complaining about the site, and we didn't have to clear any trees, which is another, not like Route 6, but there are places where you have to cut down, say, forests to get enough clear land for the sun to reach all the panels. We didn't have any of that problem.
So you had a pretty good basis.
Yes.
And is that it?
I mean, is that all we're going to do? No, there are additional abilities. There are additional places where more solar can be installed. There's some buildings. There are some other proposals that are being made that are going to be studied. Some part of the on the golf course. One of them on.
They're going to put panels on the golf course?
Possible. You have to work out a contract, work out a proposal, but that's one of them. There are several other locations. Nothing anywhere near the size of this original one on the landfill, but there are other places where it can be. The fire station has. If you go past the new fire station, you'd see there's several rows of panels,
right?
right?
Yes.
That's not part of anything else, but they're using. We have some on the middle school also has elementary school, middle school has panels. That's one of the first ones that the Cape Lake Compact was involved in, and I think we've talked about it here even. That we have an installation on the elementary school.
Now, is that going to be tied in to the other?
Well, it's a separate contract, but again, it all feeds into the same network, and the energy that's produced there, and it's nowhere near the size of this landfill, but it's energy, it's electricity, and once you build it, there really are no moving parts.
Had that created a plus?
I'm sorry?
Had that created an energy plus, or was that just servicing the school?
It's mainly servicing the school.
Mainly, okay.
It doesn't even serve the entire school, but it takes one portion of the school. Before we got into this big kind of, I'm going to say, wholesale project.
Okay, and let me see, where else can I go? So that we get a complete picture of what's going on.
Well, it's it is nice to be able to say that when you ride into the landfill to drop off your garbage. There's a big sign that's been there for almost a year now, which gives you an idea of the size of what's coming from, what is being generated there. In the first year, the savings to the town in dollars are going to come to the town of Harwich, $410,000. By the time we're into the end of the 20 years, it's a 20-year contract,
Right.
$11 million profit that the town is going to see against its taxes, and we're really proud of being able to be part of being able to do that.
Do we know how much the system cost?
What did the system cost?
Yeah, do we know that?
Millions.
Millions?
I don't have a figure, but it's very expensive. The cost of the installation is borne by the contractor who had the contract with us. It was ACE, American Capital Energy. They're since the ownership is transferring. Doesn't make any difference, but they put up the entire cost for the installation. Town doesn't put anything to it. Where ACE or whoever is a successor company will make their money will be on the sale of energy, because they're selling energy to the town at a price that's significantly less than we buy it from NSTAR. So we save the money, but they're getting enough. They make enough profit from what is there to, over a long term. And I have no idea how long it takes them to pay off the installation, but that's how the thing works out. Now, the whole thing is subsidized. There's no question about it, by the state, and to get it going, to be able to get things done at reasonable costs. But overall, when it's all done, we're going to have a very, very large electric generating plant, which doesn't make any noise and doesn't make any pollution, and really does something great for the area, for the environment, for the town. Well, yeah, I'm very proud of what we've been part of. Yeah.
Well, you should be, yes. And you've been at it since the very beginning.
We've been working at it a long time, but we don't take the credit for it. There's an awful lot of people that have been involved in the project. And CVEC, this Cape and Vineyard Electric Co-op, has done a lot of work and spent a lot of money in searching for renewable energy projects, which has been their goal since they were set up in 2007. I was on the original board of directors. I no longer am. But there was a lot of money spent in the efforts that were made